Question 1. Which of the following statements best describes the regulatory framework for surplus lines insurance in Illinois? A. Surplus lines insurers are exempt from all state regulations. B. Surplus lines insurers must comply with all state insurance laws except for rate regulation. C. Surplus lines insurers are only regulated by federal laws. D. Surplus lines insurers are not required to maintain financial solvency. Answer: B. Surplus lines insurers must comply with all state insurance laws except for rate regulation. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurance is regulated under the Illinois Insurance Code and surplus lines laws. Surplus lines insurers are required to comply with all state insurance laws, including those related to solvency and consumer protection, except for rate regulation, which is typically exempt. This ensures that while surplus lines insurance offers flexibility, it still operates within a regulatory framework to protect consumers and maintain market stability. Question 2, scenario-based. Mr. Smith, an insured in Illinois, files a surplus lines insurance claim for significant property damage due to a storm. The insurer denies the claim, citing an exclusion in the policy for acts of God. What should Mr. Smith consider doing next? A. Immediately file a lawsuit against the insurer for bad faith denial of the claim. B. Review the denial letter and policy documents to understand the grounds for denial. C. Request a reevaluation of the claim from a different claims adjuster within the insurer's company. D. Contact the Illinois Department of Insurance to file a complaint against the insurer. Answer: B. Review the denial letter and policy documents to understand the grounds for denial. Explanation: in this scenario, Mr. Smith should first carefully review the denial letter and the policy documents provided by the insurer. Understanding the specific grounds for denial, in this case, the acts of God or exclusion, will help Mr. Smith determine whether the denial is valid under the terms of the policy. Filing a lawsuit or a complaint with the Illinois Department of Insurance may be options later on, but the initial step should be to gather information and understand the insurer's rationale for denying the claim. This approach aligns with best practices in claims handling, emphasizing the importance of reviewing documentation and understanding policy provisions before taking further action. Question 3. During a surplus lines insurance claims investigation in Illinois, what is the primary role of an independent claims adjuster hired by the insurer? A. Advocating for the insured to maximize the claim settlement. B. Providing expert testimony in court if the claim leads to litigation. C. Evaluating the extent and value of the claim objectively and impartially. D. Negotiating directly with the insured to reach a settlement agreement. Answer: C. Evaluating the extent and value of the claim objectively and impartially. Explanation: in Illinois, and generally in surplus lines insurance claims handling, an independent claims adjuster's primary role is to assess and evaluate the claim objectively and impartially. This involves gathering evidence, assessing damages, and determining the appropriate settlement amount based on the terms of the policy and applicable laws. Advocating for the insured, option A, is typically the role of a public adjuster hired by the insured, not the independent adjuster. Providing expert testimony, option B, and negotiating settlements, option D, are also responsibilities that may arise but are secondary to the initial objective evaluation of the claim. Question 4. In Illinois, what is a key characteristic of surplus lines insurance policies compared to standard admitted insurance policies? A. Surplus lines policies are subject to stricter regulatory oversight. B. Surplus lines policies typically offer broader coverage options. C. Surplus lines policies are always issued by state-regulated insurers. D. Surplus lines policies are exempt from premium taxation. Answer: B. Surplus lines policies typically offer broader coverage options. Explanation: one of the distinguishing characteristics of surplus lines insurance in Illinois and elsewhere is that these policies often provide coverage for risks that admitted insurers may consider too specialized or high risk. This can result in broader coverage options compared to standard admitted insurance policies, option B. While surplus lines insurers are not subject to the same level of regulatory oversight as admitted insurers, option A, they still need to comply with certain state regulations. The issuance of surplus lines policies, option C, involves non-admitted insurers, and premium taxation, option D, varies by state but generally applies to surplus lines premiums. Question 5. Scenario-based. MS Ramirez, an insurance claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a complex surplus lines insurance claim involving multiple parties. What should be her primary focus during the claims handling process? A. Expediting the claim settlement to minimize expenses for the insurer. B. Documenting all communications and decisions made during the claims process. C. Delaying communication with the insured to gather more evidence. D. Recommending litigation as the first option to resolve the claim. Answer: B. Documenting all communications and decisions made during the claims process. Explanation: in Illinois and across surplus lines insurance claims handling, documenting all communications and decisions made during the claims process is crucial for maintaining transparency, compliance with regulatory requirements, and ensuring a clear record of actions taken. This documentation helps in resolving disputes, tracking claim progress, and demonstrating compliance with legal and ethical standards. While expediting settlements, option A, and considering litigation, option D, may become necessary depending on the circumstances, they are not the primary focus during the initial claims handling phase. Delaying communication, option C, can hinder the timely resolution of the claim and may not be in the insured's best interest. Question 6. What ethical consideration is particularly important for surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois? A. Maximizing insurer profits through claim denials. B. Maintaining confidentiality of claim-related information. C. Using aggressive negotiation tactics to settle claims quickly. D. Accepting gifts from insureds to expedite claims processing. Answer: B. Maintaining confidentiality of claim-related information. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines claims adjusters are bound by ethical considerations that include maintaining confidentiality of claim-related information. Option B. This ensures that sensitive information about the insured's claim is protected and used only for legitimate claims handling purposes. Options A, C, and D involve behaviors that may compromise ethical standards. Maximizing insurer profits through claim denials. Option A can lead to unfair treatment of policyholders. Using aggressive tactics. Option C may harm relationships and trust, and accepting gifts. Option D could create conflicts of interest and bias in claims handling. Therefore, maintaining confidentiality is critical for ethical surplus lines claims handling practices in Illinois and aligns with industry standards and regulatory expectations. Question 7. What role does the Surplus Lines Stamping Office play in Illinois? A. Issuing surplus lines licenses to insurance agents and brokers. B. Collecting surplus lines premium taxes and fees from insurers. C. Providing surplus lines insurance policies to consumers. D. Regulating surplus lines claims investigations. Answer: B. Collecting surplus lines premium taxes and fees from insurers. Explanation: in Illinois, the Surplus Lines Stamping Office, also known as the Surplus Lines Association, plays a crucial role in collecting surplus lines premium taxes and fees from insurers. Option B. This office ensures compliance with state regulations regarding surplus lines insurance and facilitates the reporting and payment of taxes by surplus lines insurers. Option C, issuing licenses, is typically handled by the state insurance department or regulatory authority, while option C, providing policies, is the responsibility of surplus lines brokers and insurers. Option D, regulating claims investigations, falls under the jurisdiction of the Illinois Department of Insurance, not the Stamping Office. Question 8. Scenario-based. Mr. Anderson, an insurance claims adjuster in Illinois, encounters a surplus lines claim involving a dispute over the valuation of damaged property. What steps should Mr. Anderson take to resolve this issue? Effectively, they request an appraisal by a qualified independent appraiser. B. Deny the claim based on the disagreement over property valuation. C. Offer the insured a fixed settlement amount to expedite the claim. D. Engage in direct negotiation with the insured to reach a compromise. Answer A. Request an appraisal by a qualified independent appraiser. Explanation: in Illinois, disputes over the valuation of damaged property and surplus lines claims can often be resolved through an appraisal process involving qualified independent appraisers. Option A. This approach allows both parties to present their valuation arguments and reach a fair and objective determination of the property's value. Options B. Denying the claim. C. Offering a fixed settlement, and D. Direct negotiation without appraisal may not effectively address the underlying valuation dispute and could potentially escalate the conflict. Therefore, initiating an appraisal process is a recommended step to handle valuation disputes in surplus lines insurance claims. Question 9. What is the significance of diligent search requirements in surplus lines insurance transactions in Illinois? A. Ensuring that surplus lines insurance is only used as a last resort. B. Verifying the financial stability of surplus lines insurers. C. Confirming that the risk is not acceptable in the admitted market. D. Facilitating quick issuance of surplus lines insurance policies. Answer. C. Confirming that the risk is not acceptable in the admitted market. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance transactions require diligent search to confirm that the risk is not readily acceptable in the admitted market. Option C. This means that insurance producers must demonstrate that they have made a reasonable effort to place the insurance with admitted insurers before turning to surplus lines insurers. This requirement helps ensure that surplus lines insurance is used appropriately for risks that are unusual, specialized, or high risk in nature and not simply as a convenient alternative. Options for last resort, B. Financial stability, and D. Quick issuance, do not accurately reflect the purpose of diligent search requirements in surplus lines transactions. Therefore, confirming the risk's non-acceptability in the admitted market is the correct answer based on regulatory guidelines in Illinois. Question 10. What is the primary advantage of surplus lines insurance for insureds in Illinois? A. Low premiums compared to standard admitted insurance policies. B. Guaranteed coverage for all types of risks without exclusions. C. Exemption from all state insurance regulations. D. Access to coverage for specialized or high-risk exposures. Answer. D. Access to coverage for specialized or high-risk exposures. Explanation. In Illinois, one of the primary advantages of surplus lines insurance for insureds is the access to coverage for specialized or high-risk exposures. Option D. Surplus lines insurers are able to provide insurance for risks that admitted insurers may decline to cover due to their unique or high-risk nature. This flexibility allows insureds to obtain tailored insurance solutions that meet their specific needs even when standard admitted insurance markets cannot accommodate such risks. Options was low premiums, B. Guaranteed coverage, and C. Exemption from regulations do not accurately represent the primary advantages of surplus lines insurance and may be misleading. Question 11. Scenario-based. MS. Parker, an insurance claims manager in Illinois, receives a surplus lines claim involving potential fraud by the insured. What action should MS. Parker take according to Illinois regulations? A. Report the suspected fraud to law enforcement immediately. B. Conduct a thorough investigation into the fraud allegations. C. Deny the claim without further investigation. D. Inform the insured about the suspected fraud and request clarification. Answer. B. Conduct a thorough investigation into the fraud allegations. Explanation. In Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim involving suspected fraud, insurance claims managers such as MS. Parker are required to conduct a thorough investigation into the fraud allegations. Option B. This investigation helps determine the validity of the fraud claims and ensures that the insurer complies with regulatory requirements and ethical standards. Reporting suspected fraud to law enforcement, option A, may be necessary depending on the findings of the investigation, but it is not the initial step in the claims handling process. Denying the claim outright, option C, without investigation could lead to legal and regulatory consequences. Informing the insured and seeking clarification, option D, may be part of the investigation process but does not replace the need for a thorough investigation into suspected fraud. Question 12. What is the key responsibility of surplus lines insurance brokers in Illinois? A. Adjudicating claims on behalf of the insured. B. Serving as intermediaries between insureds and insurers. C. Issuing surplus lines insurance policies directly to insureds. D. Providing legal advice during claims disputes. Answer. B. Serving as intermediaries between insureds and insurers. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance brokers in Illinois play a crucial role as intermediaries between insureds seeking coverage for non-standard risks and surplus lines insurers willing to underwrite those risks. Option B. Brokers help insureds navigate the surplus lines market, including securing coverage, negotiating terms, and facilitating the placement of policies with non-admitted insurers. Options equal adjudicating claims is typically the responsibility of claims adjusters, not brokers. Issuing policies, option C, is the function of insurers or underwriters, and providing legal advice, option D, falls within the scope of legal professionals, not insurance brokers. Therefore, serving as intermediaries is a key responsibility that distinguishes surplus lines brokers in Illinois. Question 13. What is a key consideration for surplus lines insurers when evaluating coverage for a claim in Illinois? A. Maximizing profitability by minimizing claim payouts. B. Adhering strictly to policy exclusions and limitations. C. Offering quick settlements to expedite claim resolution. D. Denying coverage for claims involving legal disputes. Answer: B. Adhering strictly to policy exclusions and limitations. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurers must carefully evaluate coverage for claims by adhering strictly to the policy's exclusions and limitations. Option B. This ensures that claims are handled in accordance with the terms agreed upon in the insurance contract, maintaining fairness and consistency in claims handling practices. Options of maximizing profitability is not a primary consideration in claims evaluation, as it may conflict with the insurer's obligation to fulfill valid claims. Option C. Quick settlements should align with thorough evaluation to ensure fair outcomes. Option D. Denying coverage for legal disputes is not a valid reason for claim denial without proper assessment of policy terms and applicable law. Question 14. Scenario-based. Mr. Taylor, an insurance adjuster in Illinois, is handling a surplus lines claim where the insured's property was damaged due to a fire. The policy contains a specific exclusion related to arson. What should Mr. Taylor consider before making a decision on the claim? A. Denying the claim based on the arson exclusion. B. Investigating the cause of the fire thoroughly. C. Negotiating a partial settlement with the insured. D. Advising the insured to file a lawsuit against the property owner. Answer: B. Investigating the cause of the fire thoroughly. Explanation: in Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim involving a fire and a policy exclusion related to arson, Mr. Taylor should prioritize a thorough investigation into the cause of the fire. Option B. This investigation is essential to determine whether the fire was intentionally set, arson, or accidental, which will directly impact the validity of the claim under the policy terms. Obstacles of denying the claim without proper investigation could lead to legal and regulatory repercussions. Option C. Negotiating a partial settlement, and Option D. Advising litigation are premature actions that should follow a comprehensive assessment of the facts surrounding the claim. Question 15. What role do surplus lines insurance associations play in Illinois? A. Providing surplus lines policies directly to insureds. B. Regulating the conduct of surplus lines brokers. C. Collecting and distributing surplus lines premium taxes. D. Issuing surplus lines licenses to insurers. Answer: C. Collecting and distributing surplus lines premium taxes. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurance associations, also known as stamping offices, primarily collect and distribute surplus lines premium taxes. Option C. These associations ensure compliance with state regulations regarding surplus lines insurance, including the reporting and payment of taxes by surplus lines insurers. Option was providing policies is the responsibility of surplus lines brokers and insurers. Regulating surplus lines brokers. Option B typically falls under the jurisdiction of the state insurance department. Issuing licenses to insurers. Option D is also handled by state regulatory authorities, not surplus lines associations. Therefore, collecting and distributing premium taxes is a key function of surplus lines insurance associations in Illinois. Question 16. What is an important consideration for surplus lines claims adjusters regarding coverage determinations in Illinois? A. Minimizing the insurer's exposure by denying high-value claims. B. Following the statutory requirements for claims processing timelines. C. Allowing flexibility in interpreting policy terms to benefit the insured. D. Issuing claim payments promptly to avoid regulatory penalties. Answer: B. Following the statutory requirements for claims processing timelines. Explanation: surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois must adhere to statutory requirements for claims processing timelines. Option B. These timelines are set to ensure timely and fair resolution of claims, providing insureds with clarity on when to expect updates and payments. Obstacles or denying high-value claims does not align with the adjuster's duty to fairly evaluate and process claims. Option C. Flexibility in policy interpretation should be balanced with adherence to policy terms and regulatory requirements. Option D. Prompt claim payments is important but should not compromise compliance with statutory timelines. Question 17. Scenario-based. MS. Garcia, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, is handling a complex claim involving disputed liability between multiple parties. What is her primary responsibility in this situation? A. Determine the liability of each party based on initial assessments. B. Delay communication with all parties until all evidence is gathered. C. Engage legal counsel immediately to prepare for potential litigation. D. Facilitate communication and negotiation between the parties. Answer A. Determine the liability of each party based on initial assessments. Explanation. In Illinois, when faced with a complex surplus lines claim involving disputed liability (MS), Garcia's primary responsibility is to determine the liability of each party based on initial assessments. Option A. This involves gathering relevant evidence, assessing the facts of the claim, and applying policy terms and legal principles to determine each party's responsibility. Option B. Delaying communication can hinder the claims resolution process and is not recommended. Option C. Engaging legal counsel may be necessary later in the process but should follow initial assessments. Option D. Facilitating communication and negotiation is important but should be guided by a clear understanding of liability to facilitate fair and informed negotiations. Question 18. What ethical consideration is particularly important for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois? A. Maximizing claim settlements to enhance client satisfaction. B. Maintaining transparency in claims handling practices. C. Denying claims based on personal judgment. D. Accepting gifts from insureds to expedite claims processing. Answer. B. Maintaining transparency in claims handling practices. Explanation. Surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois are expected to maintain transparency in their claims handling practices. Option B. This includes providing clear and accurate information to insureds throughout the claims process, disclosing relevant policy terms and coverage details, and ensuring fairness in claims decisions. Option was maximizing settlements should be balanced with adherence to policy terms and regulatory requirements. Option C. Personal judgment in claim denials is inconsistent with the objective assessment of claims. Option D. Accepting gifts can create conflicts of interest and compromise professional ethics. Therefore, maintaining transparency is crucial for ethical surplus lines claims handling in Illinois. Question 19. What is the significance of surplus lines insurance in Illinois compared to admitted insurance markets? A. Surplus lines insurance provides standardized coverage options. B. Surplus lines insurance offers lower premiums for all types of risks. C. Surplus lines insurance fills gaps by covering specialized risks. D. Surplus lines insurance guarantees coverage without exclusions. Answer. C. Surplus lines insurance fills gaps by covering specialized risks. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance plays a crucial role in covering specialized risks that admitted insurers may not offer coverage for. Option C. This includes risks that are unique, high risk, or otherwise difficult to insure through standard admitted markets. Surplus lines insurers provide flexibility in underwriting and can tailor policies to meet the specific needs of insureds facing non-standard risks. Options was standardized coverage, B. Low premiums, and D. Guaranteed coverage without exclusions do not accurately reflect the role and purpose of surplus lines insurance in Illinois. Question 20. Scenario-based. Mr. Lee, an insurance claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a surplus lines claim where the insured has failed to provide documentation requested multiple times. What action should Mr. Lee take according to Illinois regulations? A. Deny the claim due to non-cooperation of the insured. B. Continue to request documentation until it is provided. C. Notify the Illinois Department of Insurance about the non-compliance. D. Recommend litigation against the insured for breach of contract. Answer. B. Continue to request documentation until it is provided. Explanation. In Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim where the insured has not provided requested documentation, Mr. Lee should continue to request the necessary documentation. Option B. This ensures that the claims process remains thorough and fair, giving the insured reasonable opportunities to comply with requirements. Option denying the claim without sufficient documentation could lead to legal and regulatory repercussions. Option C. Notifying the Department of Insurance may be necessary if there is a pattern of non-compliance, but it should not be the first step. Option D. Litigation is premature and should be considered only as a last resort after exhausting other means to obtain documentation. Question 21. What is a key responsibility of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois? A. Adjudicating claims on behalf of the insured. B. Negotiating premiums directly with insureds. C. Conducting a diligent search for admitted market coverage. D. Providing legal advice during claims disputes. Answer. C. Conducting a diligent search for admitted market coverage. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois have a key responsibility to conduct a diligent search for admitted market coverage, option C, before placing insurance with surplus lines insurers. This ensures that surplus lines insurance is used appropriately for risks that are not readily available in the admitted market. Option adjudicating claims is the role of claims adjusters, not producers. Option B, negotiating premiums may be part of the producer's role, but is secondary to conducting a diligent search. Option D, providing legal advice is typically outside the scope of a producer's responsibilities and should be handled by legal professionals. Therefore, conducting a diligent search is a critical responsibility that ensures compliance with regulatory requirements and ethical standards in surplus lines insurance transactions. Question 22. What role does the surplus lines insurer play in claims handling in Illinois? A. Acting as an intermediary between the insured and the surplus lines broker. B. Evaluating and determining coverage for claims based on policy terms. C. Collecting surplus lines premium, taxes, and fees from insureds. D. Issuing surplus lines licenses to insurance producers. Answer. B. Evaluating and determining coverage for claims based on policy terms. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurers have the responsibility of evaluating and determining coverage for claims based on the terms and conditions outlined in the insurance policy. Option B. This includes assessing the validity of claims, investigating the circumstances surrounding the loss, and applying policy provisions to determine the insurer's obligations. Option acting as an intermediary is typically the role of surplus lines brokers. Option C, collecting premium taxes, is managed by the Surplus Lines Association Stamping Office. Option D, issuing licenses, is the responsibility of state regulatory authorities. Therefore, evaluating and determining coverage aligns with the primary role of surplus lines insurers in claims handling. Question 23, scenario-based. MS Jackson, the surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, receives a claim involving a significant property loss where the insured has failed to disclose prior losses on the application. How should MS Jackson proceed? A. Deny the claim immediately due to material misrepresentation. B. Investigate further to determine the impact of the non-disclosure. C. Settle the claim quickly to avoid additional scrutiny. D. Contact the insured's previous insurer for clarification. Answer. B. Investigate further to determine the impact of the non-disclosure. Explanation. In Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim where the insured has failed to disclose prior losses, MS Jackson should conduct further investigation, option B, to assess the impact of the non-disclosure on the current claim. This involves reviewing the application, gathering relevant information, and determining whether the non-disclosure constitutes material misrepresentation that affects coverage. Option is immediate denial without thorough investigation could lead to legal challenges. Option C, quick settlement should follow a comprehensive assessment. Option D, contacting previous insurer may provide additional context but is not the immediate course of action for addressing non-disclosure issues. Question 24. What is the purpose of surplus lines insurance stamping offices in Illinois? A. Issuing surplus lines policies directly to insureds. B. Regulating surplus lines brokers and producers. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium, taxes. D. Providing legal advice to insureds during claims disputes. Answer. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium, taxes. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance stamping offices in Illinois primarily facilitate the collection of surplus lines premium, taxes. Option C. These offices ensure compliance with state regulations regarding surplus lines insurance by overseeing the reporting and payment of taxes by surplus lines insurers. Option was issuing policies is the responsibility of surplus lines brokers and insurers. Option B, regulating brokers and producers, falls under the jurisdiction of state insurance departments. Option D, providing legal advice, is outside the scope of stamping offices' responsibilities and should be handled by legal professionals. Therefore, facilitating the collection of premium, taxes is a key function of surplus lines insurance stamping offices in Illinois. Question 25. What is a key advantage of surplus lines insurance policies in Illinois compared to standard admitted insurance policies? A. Low premiums across all types of risks. B. Guaranteed coverage without policy exclusions. C. Flexibility to cover specialized or high-risk exposures. D. Exemption from all state insurance regulations. Answer. C. Flexibility to cover specialized or high-risk exposures. Explanation. One of the primary advantages of surplus lines insurance in Illinois is the flexibility to cover specialized or high-risk exposures. Option C. Surplus lines insurers can provide coverage for risks that standard admitted insurers may not offer due to the unique or high-risk nature of the exposures. This flexibility allows insureds to obtain tailored insurance solutions that meet their specific needs. Options cause lower premiums. B. Guaranteed coverage without exclusions, and D. Exemption from regulations do not accurately reflect the primary advantage of surplus lines insurance and may lead to misunderstandings. Question 26. Scenario-based. Mr. Nguyen, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim involving potential fraudulent activity by the insured. What should Mr. Nguyen do according to Illinois regulations? A. Deny the claim immediately based on suspicion of fraud. B. Investigate the fraud allegations thoroughly. C. Offer a settlement to avoid litigation. D. Delay communication with the insured until evidence is gathered. Answer. B. Investigate the fraud allegations thoroughly. Explanation. In Illinois, when faced with a claim involving potential fraudulent activity by the insured, Mr. Nguyen should conduct a thorough investigation into the fraud allegations. Option B. This investigation helps determine the validity of the fraud claims and ensures compliance with regulatory requirements and ethical standards. Option's immediate denial without investigation could lead to legal and regulatory consequences. Option C. Offering a settlement may not be appropriate if fraud is suspected. Option D. Delaying communication can hinder the claims resolution process and is not recommended. Question 27. What role do surplus lines brokers play in Illinois regarding claims handling? A. Adjudicating claims on behalf of the insured. B. Negotiating settlements directly with the insurer. C. Facilitating communication between insureds and insurers. D. Determining coverage and liability for claims. Answer. C. Facilitating communication between insureds and insurers. Explanation. Surplus lines brokers in Illinois play a crucial role in facilitating communication between insureds and insurers during the claims handling process. Option C. They act as intermediaries, ensuring that all necessary information is exchanged between the parties involved in the claim. Option adjudicating claims is typically the role of claims adjusters. Option B. Negotiating settlements may be part of their role, but communication facilitation is primary. Option D. Determining coverage and liability is the responsibility of claims adjusters and insurers. Therefore, facilitating communication is a key function of surplus lines brokers in Illinois claims handling. Question 20. What is a critical aspect of surplus lines insurance regulation in Illinois regarding policy placement? A. Ensuring all risks are placed with admitted insurers first. B. Guaranteeing coverage for all types of risks without exceptions. C. Conducting a diligent search for admitted market coverage. D. Exempting surplus lines insurers from premium taxes. Answer. C. Conducting a diligent search for admitted market coverage. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance regulations require insurance producers to conduct a diligent search for coverage in the admitted market before placing risks with surplus lines insurers. Option C. This process ensures that surplus lines insurance is used appropriately for risks that are non-standard or cannot be readily placed with admitted insurers. Option placing all risks with admitted insurers first is not the correct approach, as surplus lines insurance is specifically designed for non-standard risks. Option B. Guaranteeing coverage without exceptions is not reflective of the regulatory framework. Option D. Exempting insurers from premium taxes is not related to policy placement requirements. Question 29. Scenario-based. MS. Roberts, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, receives a claim involving extensive damage to insured property. The policy includes a specific exclusion related to flood damage. What should MS. Roberts consider before making a decision on the claim? A. Deny the claim based on the flood damage exclusion. B. Investigate the cause of the damage thoroughly. C. Settle the claim quickly to mitigate further losses. D. Engage in negotiation with the insured for a compromise. Answer. B. Investigate the cause of the damage thoroughly. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim with an exclusion related to flood damage (MS), Roberts should conduct a thorough investigation into the cause of the damage. Option B. This involves gathering evidence, assessing the circumstances surrounding the loss, and determining whether the exclusion applies based on the policy terms. Option will denying the claim without proper investigation could lead to legal challenges. Option C. Quick settlement should be based on a clear understanding of coverage and liability. Option D. Negotiation for compromise may be premature without a comprehensive assessment of the claim's merits. Question 30. What is an important requirement for surplus lines insurance claims settlement in Illinois? A. Issuing claim payments without delay. B. Offering a settlement amount below policy limits. C. Obtaining insured's consent before settlement. D. Excluding coverage for legal expenses. Answer. C. Obtaining insured's consent before settlement. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance claims settlement requires obtaining the insured's consent before finalizing any settlement. Option C. This ensures that insureds are fully informed and agree to the terms of the settlement, including the amount and any conditions. Optional issuing payments without delay is important but should be preceded by obtaining consent. Option B. Offering a settlement below policy limits may not be in the insured's best interest without consent. Option D. Excluding legal expenses is not a typical requirement for claims settlement. Therefore, obtaining insured's consent is an important requirement to ensure compliance with regulatory and ethical standards in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 31. What is the role of surplus lines insurance association stamping offices in Illinois? A. Issuing surplus lines policies directly to insureds. B. Regulating surplus lines brokers and producers. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. D. Providing legal advice to insureds during claims disputes. Answer. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance associations or stamping offices in Illinois primarily facilitate the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. Option C. These offices ensure compliance with state regulations by overseeing the reporting and payment of taxes by surplus lines insurers. Option is issuing policies is the role of surplus lines brokers and insurers. Option B. Regulating brokers and producers falls under the jurisdiction of state insurance departments. Option D. Providing legal advice is typically outside the scope of stamping offices' responsibilities. Therefore, facilitating the collection of premium taxes is a key function of surplus lines insurance associations in Illinois. Question 32. Scenario-based. Mr. Patel, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured has failed to notify the insurer promptly after the loss occurred as required by the policy. What action should Mr. Patel take? A. Deny the claim due to the insured's failure to comply with policy conditions. B. Investigate the circumstances surrounding the delayed notification. C. Settle the claim quickly to avoid additional scrutiny. D. Refer the insured to legal counsel for advice. Answer. B. Investigate the circumstances surrounding the delayed notification. Explanation. In Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim where the insured has failed to promptly notify the insurer as required by the policy, Mr. Patel should investigate the circumstances surrounding the delayed notification. Option B. This investigation helps determine the reasons for the delay and assess whether there were any valid reasons that may justify the delay. Option C. Denying the claim without proper investigation could lead to legal and regulatory issues. Option C. Quick settlement should be based on a thorough understanding of the claim circumstances. Option D. Referring to legal counsel may be considered later if legal implications arise but is not the initial step. Question 33. What is an ethical consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois? A. Maximizing claim settlements to increase company profits. B. Providing clear and accurate information to insureds. C. Denying claims based on personal biases. D. Accepting gifts from insureds to expedite claims processing. Answer. B. Providing clear and accurate information to insureds. Explanation. Surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois are ethically obligated to provide clear and accurate information to insureds throughout the claims handling process. Option B. This includes explaining coverage, policy terms, claim procedures, and any other relevant information in a transparent manner. Optional was maximizing claim settlements should be balanced with fairness and adherence to policy terms. Option C, denying claims based on biases is unethical and inconsistent with fair claims handling practices. Option D, accepting gifts can create conflicts of interest and compromise professional ethics. Therefore, providing clear and accurate information is a critical ethical consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois. Question 34. What is an essential aspect of surplus lines insurance claims handling regarding documentation in Illinois? A. Submitting claims without supporting documentation. B. Maintaining accurate records throughout the claims process. C. Delaying documentation until settlement negotiations conclude. D. Accepting undocumented claims to expedite processing. Answer. B. Maintaining accurate records throughout the claims process. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance claims handling requires maintaining accurate records throughout the claims process. Option B. This includes documenting all communications, evaluations, investigations, and decisions made regarding the claim. Accurate records help ensure transparency, compliance with regulatory requirements, and facilitate effective communication with insureds and other stakeholders. Optional as submitting claims without documentation is not appropriate as supporting documentation is necessary for claims evaluation. Option C, delaying documentation can hinder timely resolution of claims. Option D, accepting undocumented claims undermines proper claims handling practices and compliance. Question 35. Scenario-based. MS. Thompson, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured's loss is partially covered under the surplus lines policy. What should MS. Thompson consider regarding the settlement? A. Issuing a settlement amount equal to the total loss. B. Negotiating a settlement that maximizes company profits. C. Providing an explanation of settlement calculations to the insured. D. Refusing to negotiate on the settlement amount. Answer. C. Providing an explanation of settlement calculations to the insured. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim where the insured's loss is partially covered, MS. Thompson should provide an explanation of the settlement calculations to the insured. Option C. This ensures transparency and helps the insured understand how the settlement amount was determined based on policy terms, coverage limits, deductibles, and other relevant factors. Optional as issuings. A settlement equal to the total loss may not be possible if the loss exceeds policy limits. Option B, maximizing company profits, should be balanced with fair claims handling practices. Option D, refusing to negotiate, does not align with the insurer's duty to engage in fair and reasonable settlement discussions. Question 36. What is a primary responsibility of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois regarding claims handling? A. Assessing the validity of claims submitted by insureds. B. Negotiating settlement amounts with claims adjusters. C. Reporting claims data to the surplus lines stamping office. D. Facilitating the claims process between insureds and insurers. Answer. D. Facilitating the claims process between insureds and insurers. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois have a primary responsibility to facilitate the claims process between insureds and insurers. Option D. This involves assisting insureds in submitting claims, communicating with insurers on their behalf, and ensuring that claims are processed promptly and fairly. Optional assessing claim validity is typically the role of claims adjusters. Option B, negotiating settlements may be part of the producer's role, but is secondary to facilitating the process. Option C, reporting claims data is handled by insurers or stamping offices. Therefore, facilitating the claims process is the key responsibility of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois. Question 37. What is a key consideration for surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois when evaluating coverage for a claim? A. Applying policy exclusions liberally to minimize payouts. B. Investigating claims without communicating with insureds. C. Adhering to policy terms and regulatory requirements. D. Offering settlement amounts below insured expectations. Answer. C. Adhering to policy terms and regulatory requirements. Explanation. Surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois must adhere to policy terms and regulatory requirements when evaluating coverage for a claim. Option C. This includes interpreting policy language accurately, applying exclusions where applicable, and ensuring compliance with state insurance regulations. Option Q, applying exclusions liberally may lead to unfair claim denials and legal challenges. Option B, investigating claims without communication, violates the principle of fair and transparent claims handling. Option D, offering low settlements, should be based on fair assessment of coverage and liability. Therefore, adherence to policy terms and regulations is crucial for surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois. Question 38, scenario-based. Mr. Smith, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, is handling a complex claim involving disputed liability between multiple parties. What should Mr. Smith prioritize in this situation? A, issuing a denial of liability to expedite claim resolution. B, delaying communication with all parties until evidence is conclusive. C, engaging legal counsel immediately to prepare for potential litigation. D, facilitating communication and negotiation between the parties. Answer: D, facilitating communication and negotiation between the parties. Explanation: in Illinois, when handling a complex surplus lines claim with disputed liability, Mr. Smith should prioritize facilitating communication and negotiation between the parties involved. Option D. This helps in resolving conflicts and reaching a fair resolution of the claim. Option C, issuing denial of liability without thorough investigation and negotiation can lead to legal disputes. Option B, delaying communication can escalate tensions and delay claim resolution. Option C, engaging legal counsel may be necessary later but should follow efforts to facilitate communication. Therefore, facilitating communication and negotiation is crucial for managing complex surplus lines claims in Illinois. Question 39. What is an ethical consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois regarding claims settlement? A, maximizing company profits by minimizing claim payments. B, ensuring prompt and fair settlement of valid claims. C, withholding information from insureds to reduce payouts. D, exceeding policy limits to satisfy insured expectations. Answer: B, ensuring prompt and fair settlement of valid claims. Explanation: surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois have an ethical obligation to ensure prompt and fair settlement of valid claims. Option B. This includes processing claims efficiently, communicating openly with insureds, and adhering to policy terms and regulatory requirements. Options was maximizing company profits, should not compromise fair claims handling practices. Option C, withholding information, violates transparency and fair dealing principles. Option D, exceeding policy limits, is not permissible without appropriate authority. Therefore, ensuring prompt and fair settlement of valid claims is an important ethical consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois. Question 40. What is a critical aspect of surplus lines insurance regulation in Illinois regarding claims handling? A, exempting surplus lines insurers from reporting claim data. B, allowing surplus lines insurers to set their own claims handling procedures. C, ensuring compliance with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws. D, denying claims without proper investigation to save costs. Answer: C, ensuring compliance with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurance regulation emphasizes ensuring compliance with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws. Option C. This includes handling claims fairly, promptly, and in accordance with state regulations to protect the interests of insureds. Option A, exempting from reporting, is incorrect as reporting requirements are essential for regulatory oversight. Option B, setting own procedures, is not permissible without adhering to regulatory standards. Option D, denying claims without investigation, violates fair claims practices. Therefore, compliance with fair claims practices and consumer protection laws is critical in surplus lines insurance regulation in Illinois. Question 41. Scenario-based. MS. Garcia, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, receives a claim where the insured has provided incomplete documentation. What should MS. Garcia do according to Illinois regulations? A, deny the claim immediately due to insufficient documentation. B, request additional documentation and clarify requirements. C, ignore the incomplete documentation and process the claim. D, refer the insured to legal counsel for further advice. Answer: B, request additional documentation and clarify requirements. Explanation: in Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim with incomplete documentation, MS. Garcia should request additional documentation and clarify the requirements with the insured. Option B. This ensures that the claims process remains thorough and all necessary information is provided to properly evaluate the claim. Option was an immediate denial without giving the insured an opportunity to provide missing documents could lead to legal and regulatory issues. Option C. Ignoring incomplete documentation is not appropriate as it may result in incomplete claim evaluation. Option D. Referring to legal counsel is premature and should be considered only if legal issues arise. Therefore, requesting additional documentation and clarifying requirements is the appropriate action according to Illinois regulations. Question 42. What role does the surplus lines broker play in Illinois regarding claims handling? A. Determining coverage and liability for claims. B. Providing legal advice to insureds during disputes. C. Negotiating settlements directly with the insured. D. Facilitating communication between insureds and insurers. Answer: D. Facilitating communication between insureds and insurers. Explanation: surplus lines brokers in Illinois play a role in facilitating communication between insureds and insurers during claims handling. Option D. They act as intermediaries to ensure that information is exchanged accurately and promptly between parties involved in the claims process. Option Quizzle determining coverage and liability is typically the role of claims adjusters and insurers. Option B. Providing legal advice may require involvement of legal professionals. Option C. Negotiating settlements may be part of the broker's role but is secondary to facilitating communication. Therefore, facilitating communication between insureds and insurers is a key responsibility of surplus lines brokers in Illinois claims handling. Question 43. What is a primary responsibility of surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois regarding claims investigation? A. Minimizing communication with insureds to streamline the process. B. Conducting thorough and timely investigations into claims. C. Denying claims without reviewing policy terms and conditions. D. Offering settlements without gathering supporting evidence. Answer: B. Conducting thorough and timely investigations into claims. Explanation: surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois have a primary responsibility to conduct thorough and timely investigations into claims. Option B. This involves gathering relevant information, assessing the validity of the claim, and determining coverage based on policy terms and conditions. Option was minimizing communication undermines transparency and fair claims handling. Option C. Denying claims without review violates proper claims evaluation practices. Option D. Offering settlements without evidence is not conducive to fair resolution. Therefore, conducting thorough and timely investigations is a critical responsibility of surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois. Question 44. Scenario-based. Mr. Johnson, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, receives a claim where the insured's property was damaged due to a peril specifically excluded in the policy. How should Mr. Johnson handle this claim? A. Deny the claim immediately based on the exclusion. B. Investigate to verify the cause of the damage. C. Offer a partial settlement to the insured. D. Engage in negotiation for a compromise settlement. Answer: B. Investigate to verify the cause of the damage. Explanation: in Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim where the damage is due to a peril specifically excluded in the policy, Mr. Johnson should investigate to verify the cause of the damage. Option B. This ensures that the exclusion applies appropriately and that the claim decision is based on accurate information. Option was immediate denial without investigation could lead to legal challenges. Option C. Partial settlement should be based on a thorough assessment of coverage. Option D. Negotiation for compromise may follow a comprehensive investigation but is premature without understanding the claim's merits. Therefore, investigating to verify the cause of the damage is the appropriate course of action for Mr. Johnson. Question 45. What is an important aspect of surplus lines insurance policy analysis in Illinois regarding coverage? A. Interpreting policy language liberally to favor insureds. B. Ignoring policy exclusions to expedite claims processing. C. Assessing policy provisions and limitations accurately. D. Offering coverage extensions without policy amendments. Answer: C. Assessing policy provisions and limitations accurately. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurance policy analysis requires assessing policy provisions and limitations accurately. Option C. This involves interpreting policy language to determine the scope of coverage, understanding exclusions and limitations that may affect coverage, and applying these provisions appropriately during claims handling. Option was interpreting language liberally may lead to incorrect coverage assessments. Option B, ignoring exclusions violates proper policy analysis practices. Option D, offering extensions without amendments may not align with policy terms. Therefore, accurately assessing policy provisions and limitations is crucial for effective surplus lines insurance policy analysis in Illinois. Question 46. What is a key consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois regarding claims settlement negotiations? A. Maximizing company profits by minimizing claim payouts. B. Offering settlements without informing insureds of their rights. C. Engaging in fair and transparent negotiations with insureds. D. Delaying settlement offers to pressure insureds into accepting lower amounts. Answer. C. Engaging in fair and transparent negotiations with insureds. Explanation. Surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois are expected to engage in fair and transparent negotiations with insureds during claims settlement. Option C. This includes providing clear explanations of settlement terms, considering insured's rights and policy coverage, and ensuring that settlement offers are fair based on the circumstances of the claim. Option was maximizing profits should not compromise fair claims handling practices. Option B, withholding information violates transparency and consumer protection principles. Option D, delaying offers is not conducive to fair resolution. Therefore, engaging in fair and transparent negotiations is a critical consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois. Question 47, scenario-based. MS Lee, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured's negligence contributed to the loss. What principles should MS Lee consider when evaluating coverage in this situation? A. Doctrine of proximate cause. B. Doctrine of equitable estoppel. C. Doctrine of utmost good faith. D. Doctrine of comparative negligence. Answer. D. Doctrine of comparative negligence. Explanation. In Illinois, when evaluating a surplus lines claim where the insured's negligence contributed to the loss, MS Lee should consider the doctrine of comparative negligence. Option D. This principle allows for the apportionment of fault between the parties involved in the loss, which may affect coverage and liability determinations. Option was approximate cause is used to determine the primary cause of the loss. Option B, equitable estoppel, and option C, utmost good faith, relate to other aspects of insurance law but are not directly applicable to assessing negligence and coverage in this context. Therefore, the doctrine of comparative negligence is a key consideration for MS Lee when handling such claims. Question 48. What role does the Surplus Lines Stamping Office play in Illinois regarding surplus lines insurance policies? A. Issuing surplus lines insurance policies directly to insureds. B. Regulating surplus lines brokers and producers. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. D. Providing legal advice to insureds during claims disputes. Answer. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. Explanation. The Surplus Lines Stamping Office in Illinois primarily facilitates the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. Option C. This office ensures that surplus lines insurers comply with state regulations by reporting and paying the appropriate taxes on premiums collected. Option was issuing policies is the role of surplus lines brokers and insurers. Option B, regulating brokers and producers, is the responsibility of state insurance departments. Option D, providing legal advice, may require involvement of legal professionals but is not the primary role of stamping offices. Therefore, facilitating the collection of premium taxes is a key function of the Surplus Lines Stamping Office in Illinois. Question 49. What is an important aspect of surplus lines insurance claims evaluation in Illinois regarding coverage determination? A. Ignoring policy exclusions to expedite claims processing. B. Maximizing claim settlements to increase insurer profits. C. Applying policy terms and conditions accurately. D. Denying claims without investigating the loss. Answer. C. Applying policy terms and conditions accurately. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance claims evaluation requires applying policy terms and conditions accurately. Option C. This includes interpreting policy language, assessing coverage, and determining the applicability of exclusions and limitations to the specific circumstances of the claim. Option was ignoring exclusions, and option D, denying claims without investigation, are not consistent with proper claims evaluation practices and may lead to legal and regulatory issues. Option B, maximizing settlements should be based on fair assessment of coverage and liability. Therefore, applying policy terms and conditions accurately is crucial for effective surplus lines insurance claims evaluation in Illinois. Question 50, scenario-based. Mr. Davis, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, is handling a claim involving a disputed liability issue between the insured and third-party claimants. What should Mr. Davis prioritize in this situation? A. Denying liability to avoid additional claim costs. B. Initiating litigation immediately to resolve the dispute. C. Investigating thoroughly and gathering all relevant evidence. D. Offering a quick settlement to resolve the claim. Answer: C. Investigating thoroughly and gathering all relevant evidence. Explanation: in Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim involving disputed liability, Mr. Davis should prioritize investigating thoroughly and gathering all relevant evidence. Option C. This includes conducting interviews, collecting documentation, and assessing the facts surrounding the claim to determine liability accurately. Option C. Denying liability without proper investigation may result in legal challenges. Option B. Initiating litigation immediately should be considered based on the findings of the investigation. Option D. Quick settlement should follow a comprehensive assessment of liability and coverage. Therefore, investigating thoroughly and gathering evidence is crucial for managing disputed liability issues in surplus lines claims in Illinois. Question 51. What is the key responsibility of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois regarding claims handling? A. Negotiating settlement amounts with insureds. B. Assessing the validity of claims submitted. C. Facilitating communication between insureds and insurers. D. Issuing claim payments directly to insureds. Answer: C. Facilitating communication between insureds and insurers. Explanation: surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois have a key responsibility to facilitate communication between insureds and insurers during claims handling. Option C. This includes assisting insureds in submitting claims, conveying information between parties, and ensuring that communications are clear and timely. Option C. Negotiating settlements may be part of the producer's role but is secondary to facilitating communication. Option B. Assessing claim validity is typically the role of claims adjusters. Option D. Issuing payments is the responsibility of insurers. Therefore, facilitating communication between insureds and insurers is a critical responsibility of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois claims handling. Question 52. What is an ethical consideration for surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois regarding claim investigations? A. Delaying investigations to minimize claim costs. B. Conducting thorough and fair investigations. C. Denying claims without proper assessment. D. Accepting gifts from insureds to expedite investigations. Answer: B. Conducting thorough and fair investigations. Explanation: surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois have an ethical obligation to conduct thorough and fair investigations. Option B. This includes gathering all relevant information, evaluating the facts of the claim impartially, and making decisions based on the merits of the claim and policy terms. Option C. Delaying investigations. And option C. Denying claims without assessment undermine fair claims handling practices. Option D. Accepting gifts creates conflicts of interest and compromises ethical standards. Therefore, conducting thorough and fair investigations is a critical ethical consideration for surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois. Question 53, scenario-based. MS Martinez, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, receives a claim where the insured has breached a policy condition. How should MS Martinez handle his claim? A. Deny the claim immediately due to the breach. B. Investigate the circumstances surrounding the breach. C. Offer a settlement without considering the breach. D. Delay communication with the insured. Answer: B. Investigate the circumstances surrounding the breach. Explanation: in Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim where the insured has breached a policy condition, MS Martinez should investigate the circumstances surrounding the breach. Option B. This involves understanding the reasons for the breach, assessing its impact on the claim, and determining whether the breach voids coverage or affects the insurer's obligations. Option C. Immediate denial may be premature without a thorough investigation. Option C. Offering settlement without considering breach could lead to legal disputes. Option D. Delaying communication violates the principle of prompt claims handling. Therefore, investigating the circumstances surrounding the breach is the appropriate action for MS. Martinez. Question 54. What is a regulatory requirement for surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois? A. Waiving deductible requirements for insureds. B. Adhering to fair claims practices. C. Delaying claim payments to maximize interest earnings. D. Denying claims without providing written notice. Answer. B. Adhering to fair claims practices. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance claims handling must adhere to fair claims practices. Option B. This includes handling claims promptly, fairly, and in good faith, as well as complying with all applicable laws and regulations related to claims processing. Option was weighing deductibles would violate policy terms and regulatory standards. Option C. Delaying payments for interest earnings is not in line with prompt claims settlement practices. Option D. Denying claims without notice violates insured's rights to understand reasons for claim denials. Therefore, adhering to fair claims practices is a fundamental regulatory requirement for surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois. Question 55. What is a crucial aspect of surplus lines insurance claims settlement in Illinois regarding insured's rights? A. Settling claims without insured's consent. B. Providing clear explanations of settlement terms. C. Offering lower settlements to save costs. D. Delaying settlement payments indefinitely. Answer. B. Providing clear explanations of settlement terms. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance claims settlement should include providing insureds with clear explanations of settlement terms. Option B. This ensures that insureds understand the basis for the settlement amount, including deductions, policy limits, and any other relevant factors affecting the payout. Option was settling without consent disregards insured's rights and may lead to legal disputes. Option C. Offering lower settlements should be based on fair assessment of coverage and liability. Option D. Delaying payments indefinitely violates prompt claims settlement practices. Therefore, providing clear explanations of settlement terms is crucial to respecting insured's rights in surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois. Question 56. Scenario-based. Mr. Thompson, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim involving potential fraud by the insured. What should Mr. Thompson prioritize in this situation? A. Denying the claim immediately based on suspicion. B. Investigating the allegations of fraud thoroughly. C. Negotiating a quick settlement to avoid complications. D. Requiring the insured to provide additional premiums. Answer. B. Investigating the allegations of fraud thoroughly. Explanation. In Illinois, when faced with a surplus lines claim involving potential fraud by the insured, Mr. Thompson should prioritize investigating the allegations thoroughly. Option B. This involves gathering evidence, conducting interviews, and assessing the validity of the fraud allegations before making a claim decision. Option was immediate denial based on suspicion may not be justified without conclusive evidence. Option C. Quick settlement should follow a thorough investigation if fraud is ruled out. Option D. Requiring additional premiums is unrelated to investigating fraud. Therefore, investigating the allegations of fraud thoroughly is the appropriate action for Mr. Thompson. Question 57. What is an important consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois regarding claims litigation? A. Delaying the litigation process to reduce legal costs. B. Providing incomplete documentation to the court. C. Cooperating fully with legal counsel during litigation. D. Ignoring court orders related to claims disputes. Answer. C. Cooperating fully with legal counsel during litigation. Explanation. Surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois should cooperate fully with legal counsel during claims litigation. Option C. This includes providing accurate and complete documentation, attending hearings as required, and complying with court orders to facilitate a fair and efficient litigation process. Obstacles or delaying litigation may lead to legal penalties and increased costs. Option B. Providing incomplete documentation undermines the legal process and may result in adverse court rulings. Option D. Ignoring court orders can lead to sanctions and legal consequences. Therefore, cooperating fully with legal counsel during litigation is an important consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois. Question 50. What is the key role of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois regarding claims handling? A. Adjudicating claims and issuing payments. B. Advocating for insureds during claims disputes. C. Selling surplus lines insurance policies directly to insureds. D. Facilitating the submission of claims to insurers. Answer D. Facilitating the submission of claims to insurers. Explanation: surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois play a key role in facilitating the submission of claims to insurers. Option D. This includes assisting insureds in properly documenting and submitting their claims to ensure they are processed efficiently and in accordance with policy terms. Optional adjudicating claims is typically done by claims adjusters. Option B. Advocating for insureds may involve producers, but their primary role is facilitating rather than advocating in claims disputes. Option C. Selling policies directly is their initial role, but not directly related to claims handling. Therefore, facilitating the submission of claims to insurers is a primary responsibility of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois. Question 59. Scenario-based. MS. Rodriguez, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, receives a claim where the insured has failed to disclose prior losses on their application. What should MS. Rodriguez consider when evaluating coverage for this claim? A. Denying coverage due to the non-disclosure. B. Investigating to determine if the non-disclosure is material. C. Delaying communication with the insured. D. Settling the claim without investigating further. Answer: B. Investigating to determine if the non-disclosure is material. Explanation: in Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim where the insured failed to disclose prior losses, MS. Rodriguez should investigate to determine if the non-disclosure is material to the claim. Option B. This involves assessing whether the undisclosed information would have influenced the insurer's decision to issue the policy or the terms provided. Option denying coverage immediately without investigation may not be justified if the non-disclosure is immaterial. Option C. Delaying communication violates the principle of prompt claims handling. Option D. Settling without investigation could lead to legal disputes if material facts are overlooked. Therefore, investigating to determine if the non-disclosure is material is essential for MS. Rodriguez when evaluating coverage for this claim. Question 60. What is a primary objective of surplus lines insurance regulations in Illinois regarding claims handling? A. Expediting claims processing to minimize costs. B. Providing loopholes for insurers to deny claims. C. Ensuring fair treatment of insureds during claims. D. Limiting insured's access to surplus lines coverage. Answer: C. Ensuring fair treatment of insureds during claims. Explanation: surplus lines insurance regulations in Illinois aim to ensure fair treatment of insureds during claims handling. Option C. This includes enforcing fair claims practices, protecting insured's rights, and regulating insurers to prevent unfair claim denials or delays. Optional expediting claims processing should not compromise fair treatment. Option B. Providing loopholes goes against consumer protection objectives. Option D. Limiting access contradicts the purpose of surplus lines insurance to provide coverage when standard markets cannot. Therefore, ensuring fair treatment of insureds during claims is a primary objective of surplus lines insurance regulations in Illinois. Question 61. What is a critical aspect of surplus lines insurance policy analysis in Illinois regarding coverage interpretation? A. Ignoring policy exclusions to expedite claims processing. B. Applying policy terms consistently across all claims. C. Denying claims without reviewing policy provisions. D. Offering coverage extensions without insurer approval. Answer: B. Applying policy terms consistently across all claims. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurance policy analysis requires applying policy terms consistently across all claims. Option B. This ensures fairness and uniformity in claims handling practices, preventing arbitrary decisions that could lead to disputes. Option ignoring exclusions compromises accurate coverage assessment. Option C. Denying claims without review violates proper claims evaluation practices. Option D. Offering extensions without approval disregards policy terms and insurer protocols. Therefore, applying policy terms consistently is critical for effective surplus lines insurance policy analysis in Illinois. Question 62. Scenario-based. Mr. Clark, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured's property was damaged due to an excluded peril. How should Mr. Clark proceed with this claim? A. Investigate the cause of the damage thoroughly. B. Deny the claim immediately based on the exclusion. C. Offer a partial settlement to the insured. D. Delay communication with the insured. Answer A. Investigate the cause of the damage thoroughly. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim where the property damage resulted from an excluded peril, Mr. Clark should investigate the cause of the damage thoroughly. Option A. This involves determining the exact circumstances and ensuring that the exclusion applies correctly before making a claim decision. Option B. Immediate denial without investigation may lead to legal challenges. Option C. Partial settlement should be based on a thorough assessment of coverage. Option D. Delaying communication violates the principle of prompt claims handling. Therefore, investigating the cause of the damage thoroughly is the appropriate action for Mr. Clark. Question 63. What is an ethical consideration for surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois regarding claims handling? A. Advocating for insurers' interests over insureds. B. Facilitating prompt and fair claims settlements. C. Ignoring insured's rights to dispute claim decisions. D. Accepting gifts from insureds to expedite claims. Answer. B. Facilitating prompt and fair claims settlements. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois have an ethical responsibility to facilitate prompt and fair claims settlements. Option B. This includes assisting insureds throughout the claims process, ensuring timely communication with insurers, and advocating for fair treatment based on policy terms. Option C. Advocating for insurers' interests undermines fairness in claims handling. Option C. Ignoring insured's rights violates ethical standards and regulatory requirements. Option D. Accepting gifts creates conflicts of interest and compromises professional integrity. Therefore, facilitating prompt and fair claims settlements is a critical ethical consideration for surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois. Question 64. What is a key responsibility of surplus lines insurance adjusters in Illinois regarding claims investigation? A. Minimizing communication with insureds to streamline the process. B. Conducting thorough and timely investigations into claims. C. Denying claims without reviewing policy terms. D. Settling claims without gathering supporting evidence. Answer. B. Conducting thorough and timely investigations into claims. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance adjusters in Illinois have a key responsibility to conduct thorough and timely investigations into claims. Option B. This involves gathering relevant information, assessing the validity of the claim, and determining coverage based on policy terms and conditions. Option C. Minimizing communication may hinder transparency and completeness in claims handling. Option C. Denying claims without review disregards proper assessment practices. Option D. Settling without evidence is not conducive to fair resolution. Therefore, conducting thorough and timely investigations is a critical responsibility of surplus lines insurance adjusters in Illinois. Question 65. Scenario-based. MS Nguyen, a surplus lines claims manager in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured's property was damaged due to a peril not covered by the policy. How should MS Nguyen proceed with this claim? A. Investigate to verify the cause of the damage. B. Deny the claim immediately based on the exclusion. C. Offer a partial settlement to the insured. D. Delay communication with the insured. Answer A. Investigate to verify the cause of the damage. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim where the property damage is due to a peril not covered by the policy, MS Nguyen should investigate to verify the cause of the damage. Option A. This includes understanding the circumstances surrounding the loss, evaluating policy terms, and ensuring that the exclusion applies correctly before making a claim decision. Option B. Immediate denial without investigation may lead to legal challenges. Option C. Partial settlement should be based on a thorough assessment of coverage. Option D. Delaying communication violates the principle of prompt claims handling. Therefore, investigating to verify the cause of the damage is the appropriate action for MS Nguyen. Question 66. What role does the Surplus Lines Stamping Office play in Illinois regarding surplus lines insurance policies? A. Issuing surplus lines insurance policies directly to insureds. B. Regulating surplus lines brokers and producers. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. D. Providing legal advice to insureds during claims disputes. Answer. C. Facilitating the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. Explanation. The Surplus Lines Stamping Office in Illinois primarily facilitates the collection of surplus lines premium taxes. Option C. This office ensures that surplus lines insurers comply with state regulations by reporting and paying the appropriate taxes on premiums collected. Option as issuing policies is the role of surplus lines brokers and insurers. Option B, regulating brokers and producers, is the responsibility of state insurance departments. Option D, providing legal advice, may require involvement of legal professionals but is not the primary role of stamping offices. Therefore, facilitating the collection of premium taxes is a key function of the surplus lines stamping office in Illinois. Question 67. What is an essential aspect of surplus lines insurance claims evaluation in Illinois regarding coverage determination? A. Applying policy exclusions liberally to minimize claim payouts. B. Assessing the insured's financial status before approving claims. C. Reviewing policy terms and conditions comprehensively. D. Denying claims without notifying insureds. Answer: C. Reviewing policy terms and conditions comprehensively. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurance claims evaluation requires reviewing policy terms and conditions comprehensively. Option C. This includes interpreting policy language, assessing coverage, and considering any exclusions or limitations that may apply to the claim. Option C. Applying exclusions liberally could lead to unfair claim denials and regulatory issues. Option B. Assessing financial status is not typically relevant to coverage determination. Option D. Denying claims without notice violates insured's right to understand the basis for claim decisions. Therefore, reviewing policy terms and conditions comprehensively is essential for effective surplus lines insurance claims evaluation in Illinois. Question 68. Scenario-based. Mr. Patel, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, receives a claim where the insured has failed to cooperate in the investigation. What should Mr. Patel prioritize in handling this claim? A. Denying the claim due to lack of cooperation. B. Offering a settlement without further investigation. C. Documenting efforts to obtain cooperation. D. Delaying communication with the insured. Answer: C. Documenting efforts to obtain cooperation. Explanation: in Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim where the insured has failed to cooperate in the investigation, Mr. Patel should prioritize documenting efforts to obtain cooperation. Option C. This includes keeping detailed records of communications, attempts to gather information, and any responses received from the insured. Option: denying the claim immediately may be premature without documenting efforts to obtain cooperation. Option B. Offering settlement without investigation could overlook crucial information. Option D. Delaying communication violates the principle of prompt claims handling. Therefore, documenting efforts to obtain cooperation is crucial for managing claims where insureds are uncooperative. Question 69. What is a regulatory requirement for surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois regarding insured's rights? A. Withholding information about claim decisions from insureds. B. Providing timely and clear communication to insureds. C. Delaying claim payments to maximize interest earnings. D. Denying claims without providing a reason. Answer: B. Providing timely and clear communication to insureds. Explanation: in Illinois, surplus lines insurance claims handling must include providing timely and clear communication to insureds. Option B. This ensures that insureds are informed about the status of their claims, any decisions made, and the reasons behind those decisions. Option C. Withholding information violates transparency and consumer protection principles. Option C. Delaying payments may lead to legal and regulatory issues. Option D. Denying claims without reason denies insureds their right to understand the basis for claim denials. Therefore, providing timely and clear communication is a regulatory requirement for surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois. Question 70. Which of the following is a key consideration in the documentation process during surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois? A. Recording only favorable evidence for the insurer. B. Ensuring all communications and actions are accurately documented. C. Omitting sensitive information to protect the insured. D. Keeping documentation minimal to expedite the process. Answer: B. Ensuring all communications and actions are accurately documented. Explanation: in Illinois, accurate documentation of all communications and actions is crucial during the surplus lines insurance claims handling process. Option B. This includes maintaining detailed records of phone calls, emails, and other interactions, as well as documenting the rationale behind decisions made. Option was also recording only favorable evidence, compromises objectivity, and can lead to disputes. Option C, omitting sensitive information, is inappropriate as all relevant information should be recorded while adhering to privacy regulations. Option D, keeping documentation minimal can result in incomplete records affecting claim resolution. Therefore, accurate documentation of all communications and actions is essential in Illinois. Question 71. Scenario-based. MS. Simmons, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured property was damaged by a storm. The policy includes a windstorm exclusion. How should MS. Simmons proceed with this claim? A. Deny the claim immediately based on the exclusion. B. Investigate whether the damage was caused solely by wind. C. Offer a partial settlement without investigating further. D. Delay communication with the insured until the investigation is complete. Answer. B. Investigate whether the damage was caused solely by wind. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim involving a windstorm exclusion, MS. Simmons should investigate whether the damage was caused solely by wind. Option B. This involves assessing the specific circumstances and evidence to determine if the exclusion applies. Optional immediate denial without investigation may not be justified and could lead to legal challenges. Option C. Partial settlement should be based on a thorough investigation. Option D. Delaying communication violates the principle of prompt claims handling. Therefore, investigating the cause of the damage is crucial for MS. Simmons to ensure accurate claim handling. Question 72. What is an important regulatory requirement for surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois when dealing with claims? A. Ignoring state reporting requirements for claims. B. Ensuring compliance with surplus lines filing procedures. C. Denying all claims to minimize payouts. D. Releasing confidential information without consent. Answer. B. Ensuring compliance with surplus lines filing procedures. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois must ensure compliance with surplus lines filing procedures. Option B. This includes adhering to state regulations for reporting and documenting claims, paying applicable taxes, and following proper filing protocols. Option C. Ignoring reporting requirements violates state regulations. Option C. Denying all claims disregards fair claims practices and contractual obligations. Option D. Releasing confidential information without consent breaches privacy and confidentiality standards. Therefore, compliance with surplus lines filing procedures is an important regulatory requirement for insurance producers in Illinois. Question 73. What is a crucial element in the communication process during surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois? A. Keeping the insured in the dark about claim progress. B. Providing regular updates to the insured regarding the claim status. C. Only communicating with the insured after a final decision is made. D. Limiting communication to written correspondence only. Answer. B. Providing regular updates to the insured regarding the claim status. Explanation. In Illinois, a crucial element in the communication process during surplus lines insurance claims handling is providing regular updates to the insured regarding the claim status. Option B. This ensures transparency and keeps the insured informed about the progress and any necessary actions. Option was keeping the insured in the dark is unethical and can lead to dissatisfaction and disputes. Option C. Only communicating after a final decision fails to engage the insured throughout the process. Option D. Limiting to written correspondence is restrictive and may not address urgent matters effectively. Therefore, providing regular updates is essential for proper claims handling. Question 74. Scenario-based. Mr. Harris, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is investigating a claim involving a fire that damaged a commercial property. The policy includes a clause requiring the insured to maintain fire alarms and extinguishers. Upon investigation, Mr. Harris discovers that the fire alarms were non-functional at the time of the incident. What should Mr. Harris consider when determining coverage for this claim? A. Denying the claim immediately due to non-compliance with policy conditions. B. Assessing whether the non-compliance significantly contributed to the loss. C. Ignoring the non-compliance and approving the claim. D. Offering a partial settlement based on the extent of non-compliance. Answer. B. Assessing whether the non-compliance significantly contributed to the loss. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a surplus lines claim involving non-compliance with policy conditions, Mr. Harris should assess whether the non-compliance significantly contributed to the loss. Option B. This involves determining if the non-functional fire alarms had a material impact on the extent of the fire damage. Option is immediate denial may not be justified if the non-compliance did not significantly contribute to the loss. Option C, ignoring non-compliance, disregards policy terms. Option D, partial settlement should be based on a thorough assessment of the impact of non-compliance. Therefore, assessing the contribution of non-compliance to the loss is crucial for Mr. Harris in determining coverage. Question 75. What is an important ethical consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois when handling a claim? A. Prioritizing the insurer's financial interests over the insured's rights. B. Ensuring that all claim decisions are fair and unbiased. C. Delaying claim payments to improve the insurer's cash flow. D. Disclosing confidential information to unauthorized parties. Answer: B. Ensuring that all claim decisions are fair and unbiased. Explanation: an important ethical consideration for surplus lines claims professionals in Illinois is ensuring that all claim decisions are fair and unbiased. Option B. This upholds the integrity of the claims process and builds trust between the insurer and the insured. Option was prioritizing financial interests, compromises fairness and can lead to disputes. Option C, delaying payments, is unethical and violates prompt claims handling regulations. Option D, disclosing confidential information, breaches privacy and confidentiality standards. Therefore, ensuring fairness and impartiality in claim decisions is a key ethical responsibility for claims professionals. Question 76. What is a key responsibility of surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois regarding compliance with regulatory requirements? A. Ignoring state-specific reporting requirements. B. Ensuring all surplus lines transactions are properly documented and reported. C. Advising insureds to avoid surplus lines insurance. D. Prioritizing insurers' preferences over regulatory guidelines. Answer: B. Ensuring all surplus lines transactions are properly documented and reported. Explanation: surplus lines insurance producers in Illinois must ensure all surplus lines transactions are properly documented and reported. Option B. This includes compliance with state-specific regulations, accurate record-keeping, and timely reporting of transactions. Option was ignoring state requirements, violates regulatory standards. Option C. Advising against surplus lines, does not address the producer's responsibility in claims handling. Option D. Prioritizing insurers' preferences can lead to non-compliance with regulatory guidelines. Therefore, proper documentation and reporting of transactions is a key responsibility for compliance. Question 77. Scenario-based. MS. O'Neill, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured asserts that the damage was caused by a covered peril, but the insurer disputes this. What should MS. O'Neill prioritize in her investigation? A. Denying the claim immediately to reduce costs. B. Gathering all relevant evidence to determine the true cause of the damage. C. Siding with the insurer to avoid conflict. D. Offering a settlement without further investigation. Answer: B. Gathering all relevant evidence to determine the true cause of the damage. Explanation: in Illinois, when handling a disputed claim, MS. O'Neill should prioritize gathering all relevant evidence to determine the true cause of the damage. Option B. This involves conducting a thorough investigation, including reviewing policy terms, inspecting the damage, and consulting experts if necessary. Option was immediate denial without a proper investigation can lead to legal issues and disputes. Option C, siding with the insurer, compromises objectivity and fairness. Option D, settlement without investigation might overlook crucial information. Therefore, gathering all relevant evidence is essential for an accurate and fair resolution of the claim. Question 78. Which of the following best describes the role of effective communication in surplus lines claims handling in Illinois? A. Minimizing the interaction between the insurer and insured to expedite claims. B. Ensuring all parties are kept informed and understand the claims process. C. Limiting communication to avoid potential disputes. D. Using technical jargon to maintain a professional distance. Answer: B. Ensuring all parties are kept informed and understand the claims process. Explanation: effective communication in surplus lines claims handling in Illinois involves ensuring all parties are kept informed and understand the claims process. Option B. Clear and transparent communication helps build trust, ensures that all parties are aware of the claim status, and reduces the likelihood of disputes. Options or minimizing interaction can lead to misunderstandings and dissatisfaction. Option C, limiting communication, is counterproductive to transparency. Option D, using technical jargon could confuse insureds and hinder their understanding of the process. Therefore, effective communication is about keeping all parties well informed and clear about the claims process. Question 79. What is a critical factor in determining coverage in a surplus lines insurance policy in Illinois? A. The insurer's financial status. B. The insured's personal opinion on the claim. C. The specific terms and conditions outlined in the policy. D. The length of time the insured has been with the insurer. Answer. C. The specific terms and conditions outlined in the policy. Explanation. In Illinois, a critical factor in determining coverage in a surplus lines insurance policy is the specific terms and conditions outlined in the policy. Option C. These terms define what is covered, any exclusions, and the limits of the coverage. Options of the insurer's financial status is not directly related to determining individual claim coverage. Option B. The insured's opinion may be considered but is not a determining factor. Option D. Length of time with the insurer does not influence the terms of coverage. Therefore, the policy's specific terms and conditions are paramount in determining coverage. Question 80. Scenario-based. Mr. Thompson, the surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, receives a claim for a loss that occurred during a lapse in coverage. The insured argues that the lapse was due to an administrative error by the insurer. How should Mr. Thompson proceed? A. Deny the claim outright due to the lapse in coverage. B. Investigate the cause of the lapse and determine if the error was indeed on the part of the insurer. C. Approve the claim without investigation to maintain customer satisfaction. D. Offer a partial settlement to avoid full liability. Answer. B. Investigate the cause of the lapse and determine if the error was indeed on the part of the insurer. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a claim involving a lapse in coverage, Mr. Thompson should investigate the cause of the lapse and determine if the error was on the part of the insurer. Option B. If the lapse resulted from an administrative error by the insurer, the coverage might still be applicable. Option is outright denial without investigation is premature. Option C. Approving without investigation disregards the need for proper evaluation. Option D. Partial settlement may not address the root cause of the lapse. Therefore, investigating the cause is crucial to ensure a fair and accurate claims process. Question 81. What is a key consideration for surplus lines insurance adjusters in Illinois when utilizing outside experts during claims investigation? A. Ensuring the experts have no relevant credentials. B. Choosing experts based solely on the lowest cost. C. Selecting qualified experts to provide objective and reliable assessments. D. Ignoring expert recommendations if they conflict with initial assessments. Answer. C. Selecting qualified experts to provide objective and reliable assessments. Explanation. In Illinois, surplus lines insurance adjusters must select qualified experts to provide objective and reliable assessments during claims investigations. Option C. Qualified experts bring specialized knowledge and credibility to the investigation process. Option C. Using unqualified experts undermines the investigation's integrity. Option B. Choosing based on cost alone may compromise quality. Option D. Ignoring expert recommendations can lead to incomplete or biased conclusions. Therefore, selecting qualified experts ensures the claims investigation is thorough, accurate, and credible. Question 82. What is a primary reason for thorough documentation in surplus lines insurance claims handling in Illinois? A. To increase the complexity of the claims process. B. To ensure compliance with regulatory requirements and provide a clear record of the claims process. C. To minimize communication with the insured. D. To expedite the payment of claims without proper review. Answer. B. To ensure compliance with regulatory requirements and provide a clear record of the claims process. Explanation. Thorough documentation in surplus lines insurance claims handling is crucial for ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements and providing a clear record of the claims process. Option B. This documentation helps in defending against potential disputes and regulatory scrutiny. Optional increasing complexity is not a valid reason. Option C. Minimizing communication contradicts the principles of transparency and effective communication. Option D. Expediting payments without review can lead to errors and improper claim settlements. Therefore, thorough documentation ensures regulatory compliance and maintains a clear, defensible record of the claims process. Question 83, scenario-based. Emmett. Jackson, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim involving a business interruption due to a covered peril. The insured is unable to provide complete financial records due to the loss of documents in the incident. What should Emmett Jackson do to accurately evaluate the claim? A. Deny the claim due to the lack of complete financial records. B. Estimate the loss based on the available information and industry standards. C. Approve the claim without further verification to expedite the process. D. Offer a settlement significantly lower than the estimated loss. Answer. B. Estimate the loss based on the available information and industry standards. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a business interruption claim where the insured cannot provide complete financial records, MS, Jackson should estimate the loss based on the available information and industry standards. Option B. This approach ensures a fair evaluation of the claim despite the loss of documents. Optional denying the claim is unjust if the loss is legitimate and can be reasonably estimated. Option C. Approving without verification is inappropriate without a reasonable basis for the estimation. Option D. Offering a significantly low settlement is unfair and could lead to disputes. Therefore, using available information and industry standards for estimation is the best course of action. Question 84. What is a significant factor in the negotiation and settlement process of surplus lines insurance claims in Illinois? A. Ignoring the insured's perspective to favor the insurer. B. Ensuring that settlements are fair and based on the terms of the policy. C. Delaying negotiations to pressure the insured into accepting a lower settlement. D. Offering settlements that are significantly lower than the claim value. Answer. B. Ensuring that settlements are fair and based on the terms of the policy. Explanation. In Illinois, a significant factor in the negotiation and settlement process of surplus lines insurance claims is ensuring that settlements are fair and based on the terms of the policy. Option B. This ensures that the insured receives the coverage they are entitled to under the policy terms. Optional as ignoring the insured's perspective can lead to disputes and is unethical. Option C. Delaying negotiations is unfair and can be seen as acting in bad faith. Option D. Offering significantly lower settlements is unjust and could lead to regulatory issues. Therefore, fairness and adherence to policy terms are crucial in the negotiation and settlement process. Question 85. Which of the following best describes the role of effective communication in surplus lines claims handling in Illinois? A. Minimizing communication with the insured to avoid disputes. B. Providing clear, timely, and accurate information throughout the claims process. C. Using complex legal jargon to maintain a professional distance. D. Delaying responses to insured inquiries to manage workload. Answer. B. Providing clear, timely, and accurate information throughout the claims process. Explanation. Effective communication in surplus lines claims handling in Illinois involves providing clear, timely, and accurate information throughout the claims process. Option B. This helps ensure that the insured understands the status of their claim and any actions they need to take, which can reduce misunderstandings and disputes. Option is minimizing communication, and option D, delaying responses can lead to dissatisfaction and regulatory issues. Option C, using complex legal jargon, may confuse the insured. Therefore, clear and timely communication is essential for effective claims handling. Question 86. Scenario-based. Mr. Roberts, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim where the insured property suffered water damage due to a burst pipe. The policy has a specific exclusion for damage caused by lack of maintenance. During the investigation, it was found that the pipe burst because it was corroded due to lack of maintenance. How should Mr. Roberts handle this claim? A. Approve the claim without considering the exclusion. B. Deny the claim based on the exclusion for lack of maintenance. C. Offer a partial settlement despite the exclusion. D. Ignore the exclusion and focus on the extent of the damage. Answer. B. Deny the claim based on the exclusion for lack of maintenance. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a claim involving policy exclusions, Mr. Roberts should deny the claim based on the exclusion for lack of maintenance. Option B. The investigation revealed that the pipe burst due to corrosion from lack of maintenance, which is explicitly excluded in the policy. Option could approve in the claim, and option D, ignoring the exclusion, would violate policy terms. Option C, offering a partial settlement would still be inappropriate if the exclusion applies. Therefore, the claim should be denied based on the exclusion for lack of maintenance. Question 87. What is a fundamental ethical consideration for surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois when handling a claim? A. Prioritizing the insurer's profit over the insured's rights. B. Ensuring all claims are handled impartially and based on the merits of each case. C. Delaying claim decisions to reduce payout amounts. D. Denying claims without proper investigation to save time. Answer. B. Ensuring all claims are handled impartially and based on the merits of each case. Explanation. A fundamental ethical consideration for surplus lines claims adjusters in Illinois is to ensure that all claims are handled impartially and based on the merits of each case. Option B. This maintains the integrity of the claims process and fosters trust between the insurer and the insured. Option was prioritizing profit, option C, delaying decisions, and option D, denying without investigation, are unethical practices that can lead to disputes, regulatory issues, and damage to the insurer's reputation. Therefore, impartial and merit-based handling of claims is essential for ethical claims handling. Question 88. Which of the following is an important aspect of ensuring compliance with Illinois state regulations in surplus lines claims handling? A. Ignoring state regulations to expedite claims processing. B. Adhering to state-specific reporting and filing requirements for surplus lines claims. C. Relying solely on federal regulations for guidance. D. Delegating all compliance responsibilities to the insurer. Answer. B. Adhering to state-specific reporting and filing requirements for surplus lines claims. Explanation. In Illinois, an important aspect of ensuring compliance with state regulations in surplus lines claims handling is adhering to state-specific reporting and filing requirements. Option B. This includes timely and accurate submission of necessary documents and compliance with all relevant state laws. Option was that ignoring state regulations can lead to legal issues and penalties. Option C, relying solely on federal regulations, overlooks state-specific requirements. Option D, delegating responsibilities to the insured, is inappropriate as compliance is the responsibility of the claims handler and insurer. Therefore, adherence to state-specific requirements is crucial for regulatory compliance. Question 89. Scenario-based. MS. Alvarez, a surplus lines claims adjuster in Illinois, is handling a claim for theft at a commercial property. The insured has provided a detailed inventory of the stolen items, but the policy contains a sublimit for theft coverage. What should MS. Alvarez consider when determining the settlement amount? A. Approving the full amount of the stolen items regardless of the policy sublimit. B. Ignoring the inventory and denying the claim due to insufficient coverage. C. Applying the sublimit specified in the policy to the settlement amount. D. Offering a settlement based on her discretion without regard to the policy terms. Answer. C. Applying the sublimit specified in the policy to the settlement amount. Explanation. In Illinois, when handling a theft claim with a sublimit in the policy MS, the Alvarez should apply the sublimit specified in the policy to the settlement amount. Option C. This ensures that the settlement is in accordance with the terms and limits of the policy. Option approving the full amount, and option D, using discretion without regard to policy terms, would violate the policy's conditions. Option B, denying the claim due to insufficient coverage, is not appropriate if there is a valid sublimit. Therefore, applying the policy's sublimit ensures compliance with the contract terms. Question 90. What is a critical factor to consider when utilizing loss adjustment techniques in surplus lines claims evaluation in Illinois? A. Using outdated methods to save on costs. B. Ensuring techniques are consistent with industry standards and best practices. C. Relying on intuition rather than established methods. D. Ignoring the unique aspects of each claim to streamline the process. Answer. B. Ensuring techniques are consistent with industry standards and best practices. Explanation. In Illinois, a critical factor in utilizing loss adjustment techniques for surplus lines claims evaluation is ensuring that techniques are consistent with industry standards and best practices. Option B. This ensures accurate, fair, and defensible evaluations of claims. Option we're using outdated methods, and option C, relying on intuition, can lead to inaccuracies and disputes. Option D, ignoring unique aspects of each claim, fails to consider the specific circumstances of each claim, which is essential for accurate evaluation. Therefore, adherence to industry standards and best practices is key to effective loss adjustment.